Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Late Night Yap. You already know what we do. We read Reddit stories, and we sometimes just yap about nonsense. Maybe we give advice, good or bad, and you help me give your input on what you think about some of these stories. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be reading about terrible coworkers. And honestly, this is probably one of my favorite segments besides the Am I the Asshole stories, because I used to work retail and I have so many stories about just retail in general, like working with people, customers, etc. If you've ever worked retail or you do work retail, you know what I'm talking about. The drama never ends there. It doesn't matter who you work with, where you work. Retail in general is just like a disaster for drama. And also, you guys, we just hit 13,000 followers on our podcast Instagram. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you so much for the follows. I hope that you guys are enjoying these stories. I know that the last story I posted was a little bit out there. You know, sometimes I feel like at the end of the day, whether what I said was correct or people agree with what I said, I think sometimes too, like, we have to talk about like the things that make us uncomfortable to kind of alleviate like walking on eggshells all the time. Like, yes, there's some conversations that can be really, really difficult, but I think at the end of the day too, like, we have to all collectively agree, like, we can't just censor ourselves all the time. We can't just not talk about the difficult things because it might offend somebody. If it offends you, I think sometimes too we have to think, if it doesn't apply to you, then why are you so upset about it? You know, like if the shoe fits kind of situation, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't really affect you, you know? And I think like, yes, I do feel bad like if I do offend people, but on the internet, like, you can't really make everybody happy. And I try to make my page kind of like, you know, like a safe space for everybody, although that's kind of impossible at the same time. But I do try my best to not create an environment where people feel uncomfortable. So I just want to let you guys know, like, I'm not really apologizing for what I said because like I stand down like on what I said, period. But usually like if I say something that I'm not fully like, maybe I shouldn't say that, I usually do like cut that part out or I delete it out. But that's something that I feel like today, right now, what we're all going through, this is something that's like not only important to talk about, and if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's one of the stories I posted recently. It was about racism, and you know that's one of the things that I don't really play about is racism. And so I think like if it made you feel uncomfortable, then I did my job getting the message out. You know what I mean? Like, whether you agree with what I said or not. But at the end of the day, I just, you know, I want you guys to know, like, I'm not mad. I'm not like, I don't get, you know, stressed out over things like, but usually though, when I said what I said, I stand on it, you know, because like I'm not going to go back and be like, well, no, I didn't, you know, because you can't make everybody happy. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to put that out there for anybody watching, because like at the end of the day, no, I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable, but at the same time, like, these are important topics that sometimes you do have to get a little bit uncomfortable. And unfortunately, like, when you're in a position like that and you're basically giving your opinion to a bunch of people, like, not everybody's going to agree with it. But at the same time, like I said, like, the message will get where it needs to go, the more controversial that it is, and it will turn into a really important piece of like just a topic in general, because I feel like there needs to be a lot of changes in this world. And if, you know, we can all collectively come together to make the world a much easier place to be than because what's going on right now, I mean, we have so much stuff that we're going through that, like, honestly, like, racism should be like the last thing that you're thinking about. We have children that can't eat. We have, you know, families that are starving right now because we have an administration that is purposely trying to not push the food stamps, which, by the way, guys, if you watch any of my lives, I also stream on, you know, off the podcast. So I'm also a streamer. I stream on Twitch, I stream on TikTok. I was gonna try to get to streaming on YouTube, possibly, but my computer can't handle cross streaming, so I haven't really gotten into that yet. But we're gonna try it and see, how it works out. But all the money that I make, because like TikTok, people can send me gifts and stuff like that. So if you are ever on my TikTok live, or if you ever want to send donations through Twitch, all of the money that I get sent as gifts or donations or whatever, all that money right now is going towards food banks and Feeding America. The food bank lines, I mean, they're completely out of control. We've got, Thanksgiving coming up, and you've got Christmas. And we're also actually going to, I think we're going to do like the angel thing that they have at Walmart too. I want to do that as well. So we can get a few of, kids that really need like clothes and shoes, like, winter clothes and all that kind of stuff. So, we only raised $5 so far on TikTok, but I will be using a little bit of my own money to, kind of like give back. We don't have, a whole lot of money either, but, I would rather help where I can, because I'm in a position where I am very fortunate that we will have a Thanksgiving and we will be able to have food, but sorry. There's a lot of kids out there that they're not going to be able to eat, so. And it just makes me really sad that some people just don't agree, or they're like, well, some people abuse it, so they don't deserve it. Like, we used to be those people that couldn't afford food. I went without eating so that my child could eat. I mean, formula was expensive. We also went through the formula shortage, and my son, he had to have very specific formula. So, like, I know how hard it can be when you're in a position where you need money for food and you just don't have it. When you have people that are just blatantly against it, why do you think these people deserve to starve because other people abused the system? It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional, but it's something that really I think is really important, and I feel like if we all have, collectively the means to give back where we can, especially like places that are actually going to help feed people, please do. Please do. I honestly, like, people may not agree with like what she does on social media, but Sophie Rain, I mean, she is going above and beyond. She's helping people pay rent. She's helping people with food. She's giving money away and really giving back. And just, I felt like that was such a beautiful, beautiful thing for her to do. I mean, even Camilla and Neon on stream, they're giving back to the community. They're giving out food. They're helping the community around them. And I feel like that's just so, it's heartwarming, and it's really great to see like those types of things happen, because when you are in a position to be able to give back, it's just so wholesome. And like, doesn't matter where the money came from. I don't care about that. I just care about like, if you have the means to help, it means so much to the people that you are helping. So, but yeah, anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into our coworker stories, but I'm just letting you guys know, if you donate any money, everything is connected to my PayPal. So all of the money that's sent will be, recorded. Everything is like documented. Like, I will have everything, because I don't have like a specific charity link set up. I'm not really sure which one to go through, or one that I trust. So I'm just going to give to local food banks around me, and then also donate to Feeding America, like things that will go to food banks and will go to helping food banks. And I think actually before Thanksgiving happens, we are going to do a charity stream specifically for that. So if you want to be a part of it, you can follow me, Lexi Duh. I'll go ahead and put my username somewhere down here, so that way you guys can see it. And also, I think everything is linked on this YouTube, so all of my socials are linked together. Like, I have all of my socials, like, basically all over my social media, so that it's not hard to miss. Like, you can find my socials, basically. I have everything connected. We also have a Discord, by the way, so if you guys want to join the Discord, we have like a little community going on there. So if you guys want to join, that way you're involved in like when I post, where I'm posting, at what times I'm going live. And I was thinking about too, besides just playing video games, because I also do reaction videos. I just started doing like reaction videos on my main profile. So, because I remember I said before, like I wanted to try to do it. And then I did post a YouTube video on here of reaction video that I did. But I was like kind of wanting to do like more short form content than just long form. Like I can do both, but I feel like I like the short form too, because it's a lot easier for me to be able to like go on and do. So, so yeah, if you want to follow like my main profile and stuff like that, we can also I do reaction videos, so if you like those, one of them is kind of going viral right now, and I don't even know what I did, to be honest with you. Like I literally be doing like the most stupidest stuff ever, and then it'll go viral, and I'm like, dang, like what am I doing? I get it's literally embarrassing, you guys. Like everybody's like, oh, I want to go viral. I want to go viral, and I'm like, no, no, you don't. It's so embarrassing going viral because you're like, man, 600,000 people just saw me, like 1 million people just saw me doing some stupid thing, and it's like, who all do you think has seen that video too? Because sometimes if you go into like certain people's For You page, you just kind of like, who has seen my face doing some stupid stuff? But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get into these stories, and we're reading our disastrous toxic coworker stories. So this is the first story of the night. Coworker told everyone I must have a crush on her because I give her rides. I've been giving one of my coworkers, 26 female, a ride to work for a few months. I'm 28 male and we live close by, so it wasn't really a big deal. I figured I was just helping someone out. Never asked for gas money, never made it weird. Then someone at work mentioned that she told people I must have a crush on her because no guy is that nice for free. That honestly embarrassed me. I asked her about it and she laughed and said, well, you kind of act like it sometimes. After that, I told her I wasn't comfortable driving her anymore, and now she's been late a couple of times and told HR I'm retaliating. A few people think I overreacted, but I really don't feel like dealing with that kind of energy. Has anyone else dealt with something like this? I feel like I tried to do something nice and it blew up in my face. So personally, I would just let HR know that what rumors that she was spreading about you, and just say, hey, like it really made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't feel comfortable being alone with her in my car, taking her to her house because of the dynamic, you know what I'm saying? Because like most workplaces don't allow you to date coworkers regardless. And honestly, like too, maybe she has a crush on you and that was just like her way of like, oh, if I tell people he has a crush on me, like maybe he'll admit to it and then maybe we can go on a date, because he'll be like, yeah, I actually do have a crush on you. And maybe that's what she was thinking. I don't know. But like grown people, like that doesn't really work in the grown person world. Like I feel like so many people do like really childish things that like you can get away with in high school and you can get away with in, like middle school. But as an adult in the workplace, like those are just things that you cannot, get away with. Like I haven't dealt with this situation in particular, but I have dealt with situations where people like accuse me of like dating certain people. Like some people that, like, let's just say somebody likes me and they will go around telling people that we're dating or something, or like, oh yeah, I dated them even though they didn't, because they're jealous or something. I don't know, it's really weird. Like people have lied about me dating them. And I'm not really sure why, to be honest with you, because I'm just kind of like, why would you lie about that? I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and read a few comments here. So the first comment says, I haven't dealt with this particular situation, but her being late to work is not your problem. When you sign up on any job, it asks you if you have reliable transportation to work. That never means hitching a ride with a coworker, because obviously that's not reliable. She is upset and retaliating. If HR contacts you about it, state what happened. She asked you for a ride, lived nearby, but made a comment about your intentions and made it uncomfortable, so you stopped offering. And since I didn't want it attached to my name, I was offering a ride to be helpful, but considering the circumstances, it may no longer be appropriate and I don't want to escalate further. And honestly, that's exactly what I said, and that's probably the most like professional way to go about it, because as soon as you tell HR that you feel uncomfortable or that you feel like you're being harassed in the workplace, most of the time they take care of it, unless the HR there is just really crappy. But if you do have crappy HR, personally, I say, just find a new job. Like just make sure that you're knowing that you're not going to be stuck in that place. Like you can look for another place of work until you find a company and like somewhere that is like a fit environment for you, because I know a lot of times, like I don't know if people just think this is a Gen Z thing or whatever, because I'm a Zillennial, so for me, I'm kind of like on both sides. Like, yes, you would want to stay somewhere and retire in it, but what's the point of retiring somewhere that you're completely unhappy and they treat you like crap? Like, can we just be honest though? But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into our second story. New hire got fired on day one for stealing all of the coffee. This really amused me. We hired a lady who during her morning training process seemed pretty high strung, but nothing too hard to deal with. Midway through the day, we were in the break room and she gestured at 2 large full bags of Starbucks beans next to the coffee maker and asked everyone in there, "Whose are these?" And someone responded, "Oh, those are free for anyone to use. The company buys coffee for everyone." And she says, "Oh, cool." I guess she was leaving for the day and she took this very literally and put both bags of beans in her purse and was going home. There was a hubbub the rest of the day as everyone was confused that there was no more coffee. What's the hubbub? I've not heard anybody use that word. Like, specifically in this context, like, I've never heard anybody use that word. Eventually it got put together that she took them. I think someone saw it happen, and she came in today for 10 minutes, was called into the manager's office, and now she's gone. So the first comment says, if there's one quick way to inspire mutiny is to do a coffee heist, especially in the office, man. People be loving their coffee in that office. You can't play with the coffee, girl. She took the one thing that was going to be noticeable. But we're going to go ahead and go on to our next story. Coworkers are having extramarital affair. There's this coworker, male 55, who, if I'm not wrong, around a year ago started wooing a female coworker, 40, not his teammate, by telling her how young she looks for her age and blah, 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 blah. And now we all notice them having lunch together, talking like there's no one else in the room with them, going places we employees frequent, holding hands, etc. The problem is they've got their respective children. She's married to someone else, he's married/separated, and we've all interacted with her husband on different occasions. I don't know how to feel about it. It's definitely not my business, but some days I really hope they get busted. What's infuriating is that they both know that we all know about it, but they're just shameless. And the guy is a prick himself. In fact, he goes around telling others about his affair, even sometimes he shows his coworker their personal conversations. He's basically disrespecting her privacy openly. Edit, I'd like to thank everyone, polite and rude, for advising me to stay out of the drama. I am staying out of it, trust me. I just needed somewhere to rant. And since I can't do that to people around me for obvious reasons, I took it here. And no, honestly though, I'm like, you guys, if you need to rant about people in your personal life at any point, like the internet, like anonymous internet or just internet friends in general who don't know your people is like the best ones to vent to, because they literally have no idea who anybody is. So how are they going to go and tell them like, oh, so and so was talking about you? Like, they are the perfect people to vent to. But anyways, I think personally, stay out of the drama. I mean, it's not really any of your business unless they personally involve you. Then like, I would say that's like a fair pass to just be kind of like, I mean, you kind of got me involved in the situation, so like obviously I'm gonna tell on you, you know. But if you're not personally involved, I mean, you could leave like an anonymous letter to HR and like with like proof of what they're doing, especially if your company is the kind of company that doesn't like allow those kinds of things. But the very first comment here says, buy them tickets to a Coldplay concert. And OP replied and said, why didn't I think of this? That is literally so funny, you guys. Like, that is perfect. Literally just, here's a ticket to a Coldplay. Do you think that they'll, like, get it, though? Do you think they'll understand what they mean? That's crazy. I don't condone cheating, though. Cheating is not, like, you shouldn't be cheating. We don't condone that here. But Coldplay tickets, that would be a really good way to get them good. And make sure that they get put on the Jumbotron, or whatever they call it, the kiss cam. But we're going to go ahead and get into our next story. Am I the asshole for refusing to switch seats at work, even though it made a coworker upset? I, 24 male, work in a small office with about 10 people. We recently moved into a new building, and our manager told us we could choose our desks on first come, first serve basis. I came in early, and that day I picked a seat near the window. It's not a special desk or anything, but it has good natural light and a bit of space, which helps me focus. About an hour later, one of my coworkers, Maya, 27 female, came in and asked if I could swap seats with her because she gets migraines and the sunlight might bother her. I didn't have a problem with her request until I realized the only other open spot was near the hallway door where people were constantly walking by and talking. I've sat there before and found it super distracting. I told her I understood her issue, but I really liked my current seat and I had picked it early for that reason. I also suggested that she could close the blinds a bit or wear her blue light glasses like she usually does. She said that I was being inconsiderate and told our manager. Our manager didn't directly tell me to move, but asked if I could be nice and accommodate, since it would help Maya feel better. I said I would prefer to keep my spot because I'm more productive there and it's not against any rule. The manager said that's fine, but I could tell they were a bit disappointed. Now Maya barely talks to me unless she has to, and another coworker told me that it was just a seat and I could have just been more understanding. I feel kind of bad because I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but I also think I was fair since I picked it first and had a valid reason for keeping it. Am I the asshole for not giving up my seat? Also, there is an edit here, but I'm going to first get into the fact that, like, the boss told you guys that you could pick seats, and it's not your fault that Maya picked the wrong seat. Why can't she sit in the hallway where everybody is talking and walking by? Why do you have to sit there so that she can have that seat? If that seat is open and it's not in a window, like, that should be an accommodation because now she's not near a window. Like, I don't understand what the issue is why she can't sit there. Why? Oh, because it's distracting. Like, nobody wants to sit there. We're going to get into the edit. So it says, a lot of people pointed out that my wording about the desk was confusing, so here's what actually happened. The desk that I picked is near a window, but it only gets soft and direct light. Maya's usual desk is by a different window that gets strong direct sunlight, and that light gives her migraines. She asked to switch so that she could have my shaded spot while she was talking to me. Another coworker took her seat, so the only desk left for me would have been the one near the hallway where everyone walks and talks. That's why I didn't want to move. Hope that clears things up. I mean, I feel like you kind of said that, though. I don't know why anybody would be confused about what you said. But the first comment says, sounds like she won't be in direct sunlight now that her original desk was taken and she is near the door. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why can't she take the desk near the door? Why does she have to have that desk? Like, I mean, I get wanting a window desk, but she could get, like, one of those, those, like, car visors that you can buy for, like, babies so, like, the light isn't in their face and you put it on the window. She could get one of those and, like, you can, like, move the thing up and down. So, like, if she wanted light, she could still get the light, but without it being blaring into her or, like, the computer screen, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't think, like, not the asshole here, and I kind of agree with OP, like, and I get the migraine thing, like, I'm very sensitive to, like, bright lights in general. Like, I can't do, it's like, I like mood lighting, that's why we have mood lighting in here. We have beautiful mood lighting in here. Everything looks pretty, everything is, like, dark and aesthetic. I get it. But you can't force somebody, especially when the boss says, hey, pick your seats. Like, the boss should maybe just not let people pick seats if it's going to be an issue. That's usually why teachers assign seats for people. So that way nobody fights over seats. But y'all are, like, grown, fighting over seats. But we're going to go ahead and get into the next story, which this one it's short, but it's like, holy crap. So it says, coworker crapped his pants in the office. It was a fairly usual day, and around mid-afternoon in the office, out of nowhere, I hear a loud from a few cubicles down. My coworker, man in his 30s, completely crapped his pants in the cubicle, and it soaked into the chair, and I heard some of it go onto the floor. Oof. Man, I would not be able to unhear that. The entire office floor had to be evacuated while the cubicle was cleaned. His mom came to pick him up. This happened a few years ago, but I still think about it on a regular basis. Honestly, it sounds like he might have obviously like a medical problem, and I don't know if it's IBS, but there's like another like medical problem that people have where, like, is it IBS? I don't know, but like sometimes they carry around like cards that'll tell people like, hey, I need to use the bathroom like ASAP, like as soon as I have to go, like I gotta go, because they will crap their pants. And maybe it was like one of those situations, or maybe he just was having like the stomach flu. Now somebody said I was laughing so hard at this, so thank you for sharing. And I mean, it is kind of funny, but I feel so bad for the guy because I know that was embarrassing, and he's probably, you as well as OP still thinks about this to this day. That guy is probably in horror about what happened to him, and I would like wonder, did he ever show up for his job the next day? Because I would be like, I would be finding a new job. I would be like, I can't go back there. Like I need to go to a new job. I would be so embarrassed. So embarrassed. All right, we're going to go to, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, okay. We found a longer story. Those stories were kind of short but like sweet to the point. But this story is kind of a little bit longer, so we're going to go ahead and get into this next story. Is my new coworker being rude or out of line with her comment, or am I being too sensitive? Started a new job about 2 months ago in a medical office facility. My actual supervisor is nice and accommodating, but I don't work with her. When I was hired, my supervisor informed me that I would be trained and be working alongside someone else. Let's call this someone Mia. Mia, 30 female, is objectively the best coworker this place has. She is extremely thorough, knows the ins and outs of every single system, and her system is quite complex and requires a lot of knowledge. She can fix about every single problem that pops up in our facility. Even some folks from EXEC will come into the office and ask her questions. Here's my thing. While Mia is good at her job, I feel like Mia sometimes is disrespectful with me. I am someone who will ask questions to avoid mistakes. I've had previous experiences, but not to this degree, and I made that known when I was hired. As stated, the system is complex, changing every day, and it's a fairly small company, and so I'm still learning new things about it. Mia very clearly does not like this. Whenever I ask anyone else in the office a question, they're always polite and explain why. Here's how Mia answers me, literally a conversation from today. Me paraphrasing for safety. Hey, sorry, so are we not doing this thing like this when we usually do this? Mia, you've asked me that twice now. Ask yourself why. Look at me. You're overcomplicating things and it's not your job. Don't worry about that. Just do what's in front of you. Another comment from her today, talking about me to another coworker while I was literally right next to her working. Mia to other coworker. Yeah, I don't know why. Why did they put their name like that? Oh my god. They said, okay, I don't know why John Cena's Mega Weena asked me that question twice. It must be like a trauma response or something from another job, which I don't understand, personally laughing. This comment bothered me deeply, as I do have traumas that I've dealt with in the past at previous jobs, and she knows this because I've spoken to her about it, which very superficially and briefly, nothing extreme, when I first started. Today I was leaving the office and Mia goes, when I see you tomorrow you better actually, never mind, I was gonna say something smart, haha, see you. Like, what am I supposed to make of this? And there has been several other offhanded comments that she's made about me, how I function at my workstation, how I handle issues, how quiet I am, etc. She self-describes as mature and brutal because of the workload, and I don't think that's any excuse for comments. She's also made another coworker cry a week ago. It was his birthday coming up, and she went, "What are you doing for your little birthday?" or whatever. Well, I don't mean to say little. The other coworker immediately deflated, stepping out of the room, and came back with red eyes a couple of minutes later. He is an older guy and very much has also voiced that she is abrasive sometimes. Needless to say, I'm not going to ask her any more questions. I won't banter with her. I'll just keep my head down and do my job. The job is chill and pays well, but she makes it seem like she's fed up / I'm a dumbass for thinking about or asking questions, even though she's my trainer. But God, it's miserable. So here's my thing. She is obviously a bully, and she obviously peaked in high school because who the hell still is a mean girl outside of high school? Like, you have a whole job that so this is what I don't understand about a lot of coworkers, that it's like, why are you acting like that? If somebody asks you a question, like a new hire is asking you a question on like how to do something that they don't know how to do, and you're being rude to them, like, I don't understand. Like, and it's people like this that like make it seem like they're like the best thing that's ever happened to the company. They'll never get fired. They're untouchable, and they're usually the ones that are like the best friends with like the bosses, or like best friends with like the higher up people. So they don't get fired because they have connections, and they're they have favoritism over this person that makes the workplace completely insufferable. And what happens is people quit. People will quit, and when they ask you, oh, why are you leaving, and when they say, oh, so and so is really ignorant and rude, and instead of firing the person that's creating the hostile work environment, they keep them and protect them but let everybody else leave. And it's like, you have a really bad turnover rate because you're hiring people and they're not, like, you know what I mean? It's like, should somebody get, fired over being just a bitch? I mean, this really gray line there. I don't, like, obviously they have to do something that is considered harassment or bullying or discrimination, and it has to be documented, and you have to go through like a lot of hoops, especially if HR like does their job correctly, or if they do have real connections. It's really difficult to get them fired. But even if you do, or you go against them or you say something, you have now put a target on your back. And that's why I don't like working in places like that, because it's like, you will never win. You will never win, and you will be targeted, and you will be the one treated like you're the problem. So that I suggest, honestly, like, I know this is a new job and you literally just started, but keeping to yourself is probably the best thing to do at this point. And not, like, don't give in to what she wants, because she wants to bother you. She wants it to bother you. She gets off basically being like making people miserable, because she's obviously miserable herself. I would say if I were you, honestly, I would be looking for another job at that point. Like, I'm telling you guys, I don't play around when it comes to like my mental health and like the state of like what I'm doing. Like, if you're completely being insufferable, I'm not going to be around you, and it's just like, why you shouldn't have to tolerate that. Or you could just ask to be put in like a different department, or maybe work, like ask them to change like your hours so you don't have to work with that person and work with a different person, and just let your boss know like, hey, we have a personality clash here going on and I'm not really comfortable with what's happening. Like, maybe just wait till your training is over so that way you can be independent and not have to like be under her as a trainer anymore, and just be like, hey, like, when my training is over, can you please change my hours so that I can. Or you could even lie and just say like, not that you should lie, but sometimes lying, like small lies about like this, is kind of like the best way to go, because then you're not starting drama, because the boss could go and gossip to her about what you said too, and you don't want that. So you could also just say, hey, like, I have some things going on in my personal life, can we change my hours so that way I don't have to, like, because I can't work these hours anymore. Like, I know I just got hired, but it would be easier for me to work these hours because of whatever in my personal life. And you can make it about like, just, oh, I have family stuff, because like, they technically aren't allowed to ask you what specifically it is that you have going on in your personal life. All you have to do is just bring it up and say, hey, I have something going on in my personal life. So, and that goes for anybody. You never have to tell anybody or explain to anybody why you're taking time off or where you're going or what you're doing outside of work. Just FYI. So, like, if you want to go on vacation and you're asking your boss for days off and they're asking you what you're doing, you do not legally have to tell them that. It's not their business. It ain't their business. Okay? But that is going to be our last story for this episode. I hope that you guys really enjoyed. If you would, please give me a like and follow down below. And if you'd also like to find me on my other socials, I do put in the description the important stuff. So like, we have our Reddit page where you can submit your own stories. You can also DM me on TikTok or Instagram, whichever platform you're comfortable with that has a personal messaging system. That way, if you wanted to submit your own stories, or maybe you just wanted some advice on something, that way we can all come together as a community, and I can also read your stories on the podcast as well. And if you want to stay anonymous, just let me know, like, hey, I'm going to stay anonymous. Or if you would like for me to give you credit for your story, I will definitely tag you and post you with whatever, you know what I mean? So that way you get credit for your story. And I don't read stories from other people, like other creators subreddits. I try to stay on like subreddits that are like universal subreddits for everybody to read, just so that we're clear about that. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and end our video here. I hope that you enjoyed today's coworker stories, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!